Hi, some thoughts for today, the feast of the Blessed Virgin Mary. A story is told how once the Comanche Indians were praying for rain. O Great Spirit, tell us what we have done wrong that has made you angry with us. Tell us what we must do so that you will send rain once more and restore life to our land. They prayed this for 3 days, but no rain came. The children and the old people began to die. Then the elders of the tribe went into the hills to listen to the wind which carried the voice of God. When they returned, they said to the people, "The drought has been caused by our selfishness. For years we have taken from the earth, but given nothing back. We must all make a burnt offering to God of our most valued possession. We must scatter the ashes over the land. Then the rain will come and life will return to the earth." The people thanked the Great Spirit for the message. But when they went home and looked at their most valued possessions, they hesitated and began to make excuses. Instead of sacrificing their most valued possession, they sacrificed something else in its place. Now there's a little girl called Miriam who had a blue warrior doll which was treasured above everything else. Since she was the last child left alive, she realized that a sacrifice was being asked of her too. So one night she crept out of the camp. Taking the doll, together with a lighted stick, she made her way to the top of the hill. There she set fire to the doll. With tears in her eyes, she watched it turn into ashes. Then she gathered the ashes into her hand and threw them into the air so that the wind could scatter them over the land. Then she fell asleep on the hilltop. When she woke in the morning, as far as she could see, the ground was covered in blue flowers. The people were delighted. However, feeling ashamed of their selfishness, each got out the treasure they had been guarding so carefully, sacrificed it, and scattered the ashes over the land. And once more they prayed. Soon a gentle rain began to fall. On seeing it, they embraced Miriam, who had humbled them into doing what the Great Spirit had asked of them. As parts of America and Canada and also Europe burn, so other parts of the world experience floods and the power of water to wash away lives and homes. This is a timely parable to think about. Our precious world has fallen victim to our selfishness and greed. The victims from all over the globe cry for us to stop and think. They ask us perhaps to give up some things that are so precious to us and that are maybe also part of the problem. It is then that we make our excuses and tinker around the edges of the crisis. Perhaps it'll only be a sacrificial love in an attitude of humility that new hope and new life is possible. Miriam, or Mary as we know her, is at the centre of our thoughts today, as was told by the writer of Luke's Gospel. Luke is greatly concerned with history. At a particular time, in a particular location, God had spoken to a particular person, Mary. She is more than a little surprised at receiving God's message via his angel. She is greatly disturbed by what she hears, that she is going to bear as God's son and will name him Jesus. She is struggling with the notion that God is paying attention to her in her littleness and seems to be saying, "Who, me? Surely not." Mary does not hold great status in the world around her. First, she was a woman. Second, she was young. Third, she was most likely poor and living in an insignificant town. Finally, she was a Jew living in a land ultimately ruled by the Roman Empire. Mary was someone with very little power who agrees to bring the powerful into the world when she says, "Let it be with me according to your word." Interestingly, she does not seem to talk it over first with her mum and dad or even have a chat to Joseph. Despite living at a patriarchal time, She makes her own decisions and says yes. As she does so, you could almost hear a heavenly sigh of relief at Mary's willingness to bring Jesus into the world. For years, the people of Israel, with its priests, its worship and its prayers, had been longing for this moment to happen. However, for years, those prayers went unanswered, and both young and old died without being able to blossom and knowing the assurance of God's love and presence with them. Until a young girl, in an act of love and humility, said yes to God's messenger. It was only then that God's forgiveness and love was able to rain down upon us through Jesus. God continues to try and reach us via his angels. We may say to ourselves, surely not me. Surely God won't want to use me. But he does. Like Mary, we may be fearful. Like Mary, we may doubt and feel uncertain. However, God does want to use each one of us. We are vital to his plan. Like the two Miriams today, we are asked to respond in love and humility, and then God's will be done. Then, like Mary, in faith and trust, we bring his love into the world, causing lives to grow and blossom gloriously. So travel safe, pilgrim.